What is up, everyone? Happy, what is it, Wednesday? I'm losing track of the days. It's Wednesday. Happy whatever day it is. No, I'm joking. Happy Wednesday. Hope everything is going well with you guys. I am back today. I missed yesterday. I took my lovely wife out for her birthday. Love you, babe. It was great. But we're back today, and we're going to talk about some good stuff today as we are approaching literally any day now, the hammer dropping on those clowns from up north. And so once again, please like this video. Consider subscribing. Okay, we're getting closer to our mini goal, which is 37K on the road to 40K. 40K is what we're looking at, but 37K is the next bite on the elephant, so to speak. So please do that for us. Like and subscribe to this video. Fall camp is tomorrow, y'all. I cannot wait. We're about to start getting nuggets and updates and all that other stuff. It's beautiful. It's the most wonderful time. You know the song. There's that. Missed yesterday. I didn't get to say 32 Trey Henderson days until kickoff versus Ohio State and Texas. Shout out to Trey Henderson. And also today, we got 31 Vic Janowicz days, the Heisman Trophy winner back in 1950, until August 30th. And listen, one last thing before we get rolling. Reminder, our super chats go to our pay it forward military, first responders. We're going to look out for them because they look out for us. Y'all know the drill. Nevada, what's good, brother? How you feeling?
Well, good. You were missed yesterday, but we knew that you and your lovely bride had a romantic dinner out in Columbus, and we were glad to kind of keep things going. And tonight, I'm thinking we're going to be doing it's the eve of fall camp and maybe a little spring, summer workout stuff. And then the Michigan insiders started melting down. There was like some meltdowns on Twitter. Watching them lose their mind in real time is great theater, and it just drug us back. We were like, just when we thought we were out, they drug us back in and have some great stuff to talk about because they were really going crazy today.
Yeah, and I was actually obviously I preferred to be with my wife yesterday and it was great. However, I really wanted to jump on that Central Michigan stuff, and I'm glad you guys covered it because again, it's just another and I kind of had to catch up. I wasn't as plugged in yesterday because I was just spending the day with my wife, wine and diner, and just loving on her and my family. But I was catching a little wind of stuff, and it was just like, oh, they're claiming victory for something else now. Oh, this person lied. Oh, that was wrong. Oh, okay. Yeah, once again, no victory after all, huh? And so it was just like as I was catching up on the information about it, I was just tripping at the back and forth and all that. And so it kind of leads into what we're going to talk about today. It's connected because it's been like a roller coaster ride for the Michigan insiders. They keep trying to grasp at straws, Tony Petitti's letter and the Central Michigan, NOA says Michigan, has no involvement. Yay, we're vindicated. And then not so fast, my friend. And then the meltdowns today. So anyway, we're going to get to it, but I'm glad y'all covered the Central Michigan stuff, man, because I wanted to jump on it as well.
Well, that guy Trevor, whoever that guy was, that Michigan
Yeah.
guy. I mean, he was just lying. I mean, he was just putting out that he'd read the NOA and stuff like that. And I mean, he just went out there and then he started backing off of that. And it's like, man, that's the problem with the internet. When you put something out there, people pay attention. They screenshot it and they keep receipts and stuff like that. And you know, I mean, how do you say you read the NOA when you haven't even seen the NOA? And that goes right to the heart of the matter of what you're alleging, that the NCAA had no connection to Michigan on the thing, which is really, I mean, that would, if true, I mean, I don't think it would have been that big of a deal, but the fact that you just made it up out of whole cloth, it was just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, Trevor, man, bad day for Trevor because Trevor got called out and Spiro was dunking on him and Intrinsic was dunking on him and everybody was dunking on him and he just kind of went in the fetal position and started
Uh,
taking it because
uh,
yeah, he had a bad day for sure.
yeah, it was definitely. I was actually on Spaces. I don't know if you hip to. Are you hip to Twitter Spaces, Nevada?
I am.
You said what?
I said I am. I'm familiar with the concept of Twitter Spaces. We've actually hosted a couple of Twitter Spaces
Okay.
back in the day, but I am familiar with it. Yes.
Got you. So yeah, Spiro, I believe it was 2 nights ago, him and Intrinsic hopped on and I checked it out. And I'm actually I chimed in a couple times as well about the whole ordeal. He invited Trevor McHugh on. Obviously, he did not show up. But yeah, Spiro went in. And of course, Intrinsic adding his, his good info. And I just added my 2 cents to the whole situation, add a little bit of flavor, what I'm saying, to that spaces. But yeah, he don't want no parts of Spiro. From a debate standpoint or just, information or commentation, whatever, so he'll stay subtweeting and just saying stuff, like that. But he don't want no parts of Spiro. Spiro went in, as Nevada, on the spaces. So it was great to hear that, him and Intrinsic.
Yeah, well, Spiro's been kind of just checking fools this whole week, and Intrinsic's been called out, and I think everybody's kind of noted a decided change in tone from the Michigan insiders, because the Michigan insiders started on this whole thing saying this was nothing. This was absolutely nothing. There was nothing to it. More than likely would not even result in an NOA. And then it kind of moved to, maybe a little, maybe a fine. Oh, the reason they went to the full hearing was because they didn't want to give more than 2 games to Sharon Moore, this and that. And just in the last few days, and I've been pointing it out. I mean, you and I've been, I've been pointing this out to you in real time. I'm like, look how this is. Look at the wording. Look how this thing changed. And today, it just went nuts. Today, it just went full. They went full capitulation mode now, where you've got Uncle T, Mr. T, whatever his name is. I mean, I'm not sure what he's kind of alleging now, but I think what he's alleging is that there's going to be a big lawsuit once the NCAA slams Michigan. So he's kind of accepting the fact that Michigan's going to get slammed, and that's when he's going to drop the lawsuit and start getting Ryan Day's brother in trouble, and getting Ohio State in trouble, and getting Urban Meyer in trouble, and tearing apart this flimsy case on which they've prosecuted Michigan, which is really, again, if you've been following the crazy lunatic rantings of Mr. T over this past year, you know I mean, for him to go to where he's fully accepting the fact that they're going to get the hammer, I think is really interesting.
Very telling.
I mean, it's very telling, because Mr. T allegedly was the guy that was funding, counter stallions on this thing. So you would imagine that Mr. T is allegedly talking to counter stallions throughout this entire thing, and kind of reading the tea leaves, or getting the early advance notices, or doing what there is. But this has been a universal. This goes to Steve Deese, to Chris Ballas, to Mr. T. I haven't seen Scam Webb, or no, Josh Henschke, or whatever that guy's name is. Him too.
Yeah.
They're all lined up. I mean, Steve Deese is now saying, oh, well, this means nothing because it's the final enforcement action, like the last gasps of the NCAA before they become irrelevant and stuff like that. But they're all accepting the fact that Michigan's getting the hammer, which is exactly what we've been saying since day one.
Have we
On
not?
this thing. And we
Right.
got, I mean, people asking me on the board, they're like, well, Nevada, has your position changed? I'm like, my position has never changed on this. Not one. I have never wavered one bit on what this thing was going to be for Michigan. But
Same.
yeah, no, I thought that you've been a true believer as well. And I just think it's funny watching them kind of go through the process, and now kind of getting to acceptance in real time. But it was definitely happened. Today was definitely a watershed moment for that. And it was a lot of fun to read.
So yeah, so let me follow up with what you said, with showing some screenshots of what they're saying. And I'm gonna save the longer Uncle T post. It's funny you've been calling him Mr. T. That's hilarious. The longer Uncle T post in a minute. I'll kind of save that for the grand finale.
Pity the fool.
I
Pity the
pity the fool, and the fool is me. But all right, so let's start with this first one. So this is the guy who, the Uncle T dude. He goes by Tachman. So this comment on the message board was somebody fed up with Stallions running his mouth once again, which is that's a whole nother pod. But he said, because we're tired of the rhetoric, and every time he responds, it just starts all over again. Do I think he said anything wrong? Nope. Do I want this to be done because it's annoying and time to move on? Yes. Then Uncle T,
Mr.
aka
T.
Mr. T, responds with, not sure how replying to Baby Jack, talking about Sawyer, with facts, not really facts, but just psychobabble, regarding a much used OSU missive relative to the tie-in screen as rhetoric, relative, relative to being annoyed.
Relatively.
You will
Minimum.
be more annoyed.
Minimum.
Minimum. I peeped you say minimum last night too, and I was like, that's my guy.
Minimum.
Minimum. Here's the kicker. This is the highlighted part. That's like, okay, Uncle T, you will be more annoyed soon as this isn't over when the NCAA report is done. Dun, dun, dun. Sounds ominous, doesn't it? Perhaps it may just be beginning. Buckle up in quotation marks. And then the Mechadon song starts playing, buckle up. But anyway, that right there, is that not very interesting? This, especially from a character who's been, I mean, we're going to read some crazy stuff. He shifts back into crazy, and we'll read that in a minute. But to Nevada's point, this is a dude who's been pushing all types of conspiracy narratives and all type of crazy crap. And now he's prepping the people for them to not be happy that this is not going to be done once it hits. That's just one of the supposed insiders that are speaking very ominously, Nevada. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that was, believe it or not, that was his more sane take on the day, because he went from that.
Right.
The next one, he went full kind of cuckoo mode, the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs mode on the next one, and he was I'm not sure what he was on or doing or whatever it is, but Mr. T really lost it later on, and I don't know if you have that one, the long
Yep.
one.
We can go to that now.
Let's go to that one, because this one's even better. So that was Mr. T like in the morning, and then a little bit later, Mr. T got loose, and he was firing, man. Mr. T was firing.
All right, so here we go. Hold on to your butts, people. He said, there is absolutely no evidence to debate. The informants offered nothing but a fraudulent made-up case. Stallions didn't break any rules, while under Urban Meyer's scouting rules were absolutely broken and apparently continued by Ryan Day. Somehow, Michigan practice video did get released, as well as spreadsheets of Michigan signs were in fact distributed by someone. One of the informants is allegedly a pedo who was busted as he attempted to pick up a 13-year-old girl at a Walmart. Yes, there's video evidence highlighted, becoming an informant because he was a pedo allegedly. Allegedly. The cases that will follow this after the NCAA further proves it's useless and incompetent, and ruling against Michigan is astonishing. Ding,
Wait a
ding,
second,
ding.
hold on. Did you say
Yep.
ruling against Michigan?
Exactly, and that's why ding ding ding. Isn't that interesting, y'all? That's another ominous little Easter egg, or whatever you want to call it, crumb. And then he goes on to say the discovery regarding the NCAA in court by subpoena being required to unveil the informants and the proof against Stallions will be epic. How stupid is the NCAA to not realize they ruined several people, their reputations, and professional character in this 3-year charade, ending only because OSU is soft and they hired a PI firm and all this baloney, allegedly. Everything is allegedly until proven in court. You can't fix stupid. You are correct. That's the only correct thing you said in this whole statement, Mr. Uncle T, is you can't fix stupid. Good Lord.
Yeah, Mr. T was getting loose, man. Mr. T was getting loose, but yeah, every now and then they'll slip up and they kind of come out with a thing. And
Yeah.
like I said, you haven't been following the rantings of Mr. T over the past year. This was a beaut, but the fact that he's kind of accepting the fact that the NCAA is going to rule against Michigan, I found particularly interesting in the whole thing. But we all kind of know, but you can kind of see them kind of cluing in. They're all kind of cluing in to what you smart people know, because you guys have been watching this podcast. You've been listening to what we've had to say. You've been listening to the really smart people, the Premier Drums, the Justin Spiros, the Intrinsics that have come on here and kind of laid out the facts of what this whole thing's about. And for Michigan, with that aggravated failure to monitor, there really was no other path for the for the committee on infractions, another place for them to rule. I mean, they
Right.
had to give them a postseason ban. I just think that the Michigan people were really slow to kind of clue into that. And with Stallions, given the fact that Stallions lied, and apparently now that we're seeing this Central Michigan thing, I mean, the Central Michigan thing apparently was delayed because this is in the thing, because there was false and misleading testimony given or something like that. That had to be that Stallions and Costner, or Stallions and Mac, were both lying. They try to get on the same page and lie about the circumstances of how we ended up there. And eventually one of them came correct, which we know it wasn't Stallions. But I mean, how long is he gonna get? I mean, he's got 10 years, 20 year. I mean, because they were handing out 8-year show causes, 5-year show causes, 10-year show causes to that poor tutor. What's Stallions gonna get? I mean, seriously. I mean, Stallions, I really think he might get like a lifetime ban or something like that. I mean, I don't know. How does somebody who lies to the face of the NCAA and continue to, took a, computer out of the, out of the Schembeckler Hall. And I mean, how does this guy ever believe that he's going to have a future in football again after this? But I just don't even know. But hey, he can always go work for Mr. T. Mr. T will be there for him. And the
Well,
vacuum cleaner business that's an evergreen. Used vacuums will never go out of style, and people will always want to buy a used vacuum. In fact, did you get your wife a used vacuum for her birthday yesterday? You know what I'm
um,
saying?
I did something better. I don't know if
Okay,
you saw that stained glass used vacuum on Spiro's video.
I like that.
I framed that. I got it blew
Oh,
up and
very nice,
framed it
very
at
nice,
CVS Pharmacy,
very very nice.
and she was very thankful. But speaking of Spiro, Nevada, so the homie Stilly Matt is texting me. He said he's in the chat and wants to join. And
Oh,
so
no, no, really, I'm getting choked up. I'm getting choked up right
yeah,
now.
yeah. And
Spiro
so
is
I'm
one of
gonna
my
try
he
to.
is one he is one of my favorite people in the entire world. And if he decided to come in tonight, this would make this night truly special. And this is like a birthday present to me, if it's not even my birthday.
I'm gonna try to get him in the chat right now, um, and try to get him the link right now. But yes, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be great. But to your point, I'm excited. But to your point about your boy Stallions, it seems to me he's trying to desperately audition with this psychobabble that Michigan fans are eating up. Oh, he sure told you because he. And here's the thing: he's exposing himself for knowing, for basically knowing like revealing that he cheated and that he stole signs illegally, and all this information he's spewing, it just further proves that you got this information illegally. So
Yeah,
so there's that.
but haven't you noticed, even though some people, and you read earlier in that thing, and that reply from Mr. T, like some of the fans are starting to turn on Stallions now. They're trying to
Yes.
get it, like go away, shut up, stay away. I mean, you're already seeing that pre-hammer. Well, what happens when he gets the hammer? Do you think he's going to be quite as the loving, beloved son of the Michigan faithful after that, or do you think they fully turn on him?
Honestly, with this lot, I mean, these people are crazy.
Yeah, true.
So I honestly don't know because looking at Twitter earlier, and I'm trying to remember homeboy's name, Dave. I'll get his name, but he challenged Stallions. He asked him a bunch of questions and challenged him, and Stallions replied. And the Michigan fans were in there just, oh my God, bars. Oh, you got destroyed. He said a bunch of nothing. And so I think there's still going to be people, there's still going to be Michigan fans who applaud Stallions and try to the bitter end. We didn't cheat. The NCAA's corrupt, overreach, like you've been saying, and they're still going to have his back. I really do think he's trying to really rally the troops now and put his narrative out there. So when the NCAA actually drops the bomb, the narrative is already out there spinning and going, and he can try to really save face. That's what I think he's doing, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
No, I think you're right. And I mean, the one thing that I may be underestimating is just how cultish that group is, but I think when they lose, when they lose the Natty, man, I don't know, man. You're gonna have some people going through some nervous breakdowns, and they're gonna be looking
Yeah.
for some people to blame. I guess you can blame Ryan Day's brother. Let's go through the list of people they can blame. Ryan Day's brother, Spiro, B. Moses. That'd be the big three. That's who I'm gonna tell them to direct their fire at. I'm gonna be like, look, guys, I'm on your side. So if I were you, I would direct my fire at B. Moses and at Spiro and at Ryan Day's brother. Because look, you can take it. You're younger than I am. You know what I'm saying? That you can take it. You're athletic, you're spry, you're wiry, you know what I'm saying? Like quick, fast twitch, you know what I'm saying? Like that. You can kind of dodge the arrows and stuff like that. I'm getting old, man. I'm getting, yeah, oh, look at that. I can't even see you. You can't even see this. My
Look at that.
my computer, oh, my camera's not fast enough to pick you up, man. It's like a blur.
That's funny. And actually, Spirit update, he said he's going to try to hop on at least with audio. So we'll see. Regardless, if Justin can hop on with us or not, we're going to keep it rolling, but hopefully he does. And
Does
also,
that mean is he in his pajamas or something like that? Is he like he's probably he's
right.
probably in his Spartan pajamas right now, just wearing like a big onesie. He's like, look, I can't go on the camera in the onesie, but I'll go on the audio. Be like, yeah,
Oh man,
I feel you, Justin. I feel you, man. I'm in my Ohio State onesie right now, so.
Well, I had to rock my "We Told You So" shirt. You know what I'm saying? And I got my just to let you scum fans know, I'm resting easily on my national championship pillow. I sleep well at night, y'all. I sleep well at night. Just so you know, like you just won a natty and you're talking about Michigan again. I sleep well at night as a national champion. I can walk and chew gum. I can expose scum scandals and sleep nice at night knowing that I'm a champion, that I woke up a champion, like the homeboy Funky Buck likes to say.
Well, I mean,
So,
that's we can multitask. It's not like we can't do both. We can expose Michigan's lies while also keeping you up to speed on our quest for a back-to-back national championship in 2025. We can do two things at once.
right. Exactly. So I don't understand that rhetoric, but yeah, shout out to Dan. How you pronounce your last name? Div Jack. He goes by Ice Shark 8. Shout out to you for challenging Stallions. Scum fans in the comments trying to make it seem like he got 8 by Stallions in his psychobabble. No, he didn't. He challenged him, asked questions he didn't answer, and then of course he responded with some, oh well, this is how I did it, and blah 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 blah. Okay, listen. None of this psychobabble from Stallions on X is going to stop the hammer, okay? It doesn't matter what Stallion says. It doesn't matter what anybody says. The 6 level 1 violations, the committee on infractions, the evidence, the everything that's on the table is what's going to dictate the outcome. Not Stallions on X trying to, push his psychobabble narrative to win you over. Just want to remind you of that. So you can, bars and Stallions just no, stop it. Just want to remind y'all of that. But keep talking, Stallions, because you're right, Nevada. Even some of the most, the biggest scum fans on the planet are like, all right, now, this cat making me nervous, man. Why is he still talking? Like this is not helping us. But he's not going to stop. He's not going to stop. And I think even when the hammer drops, Nevada, I think he's going to go harder. He's going to do more interviews. He's going to remember, y'all. Let me remind y'all. This dude wrote a manifesto. He is obsessed. He may come back. He may come at you like he's just a kid who loves Michigan and I'm very smart. This dude wrote a manifesto. Okay. He thought he was going to be the head coach of Michigan one day. He's not the how can I put it? Why would you trust this cat? Is what I'm saying. So with that said, he loves attention. He's not going to stop. And he's going to try his best to defend Michigan to the bitter end, even with sanctions. And I'm curious, Nevada, to answer your question. How is the fan base going to handle that? How are you going to accept Connor Stallions in the fold going forward? Like, what is the Dave Porta Potties going to do? Are they going to have him back on Barstool? Are they going to still embrace him? I'm very curious about that, Nevada. That's a great question.
Well, I think they're married to the narrative, so I think they have to go down with it.
You think
But
so?
you know, I think they have to, and you know, the whole thing about him being, you know, this thing about he's a smart guy, he's the intelligence officer, he's the guy that cracked the code, he's the savant. Be if I had video of the other team's signals and you had that synced up to the play thing, it would take you about an hour. It would take you about an hour and you'd know what the signals were. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be
Yeah.
a rocket scientist. You don't have to be, you know, if you did that, and that's now, if this all you did, if that's all you did from the morning to the night was study the signals of other teams, you'd get pretty proficient at it. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
wouldn't have to be, it doesn't take any special skill, any type of, you know, fast processing ability or anything like that. It's just repetition and exposure to stuff that people aren't supposed to see. People aren't supposed to see the signals because you're not supposed to be looking. You know, you're not supposed to be cheating in that way. So, you know, I just want to, you know, once and for all, put away the myth that he was some sort of savant that could walk onto the sidelines and just do it. I don't doubt that he could, after having videoed the sidelines and watched 9 Ohio State games, I'm sure he could go over the sidelines and be pretty good about picking that stuff up because he'd seen so many hours of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, think about how good you are in your day job. You know what I'm saying? But think about if your day job was just looking at Ohio State signals and then trying to figure out what they're going to do in the game. You know, it's not that complicated. They're trying to get information in 5 or 10, you know, 7 seconds to guys that aren't as smart as you are, B. And there's 11 of them on the field, and some of them really struggle in school. Some are and they've got to get that information in really, really quickly and tell them what the play is going to be. So you're telling me that you're some super genius because you can sit across after seeing all the signals and pick up and go along with those guys? I mean, come on. It's, you
Great
know,
point.
I mean, it's just it's ridiculous. And you know, he wants to say that he has some magic, but he didn't have magic ability. All he had was access. He had access of stuff that was illegally obtained. That's why they have these rules, and he went
Hmm.
out there and did it. And then, you know, he violated the rules. But you know, but now you're seeing. Can we get to the Steve Deese thing? Because the Steve Deese thing, Steve's been one of the, you know, he's had some meltdowns, and we've been really concerned about his mental well-being once this thing goes down. But he had a pretty telling statement out there on Twitter as well today that I thought was, or on the
Yeah.
fort, or wherever he posted, I thought was particularly worthy of note.
Here it is. So he said, and for those, Spiro, it's all on him. I sent him the link. I'm catching up with the chat, and it's blowing up like, let Spiro in, let Spiro in. I'm like, dang, I didn't even see
Let's
that. Like, all right, like cool. But yeah, we if he wants to hop on, he has the link. So in the meantime, let's check this out. Steve Diaz. They can do whatever they want in general, talking about the NCAA. This is also their last enforcement case of an FBS program, except for eligibility issues with the CSC coming in. And it's being decided by a different panel of people than those who did the investigation. He put quotes around it. So there's your comment about Steve. What you got to say about that, Nevada?
Well, yeah, no, it's just you can tell, yeah, they're going with they were just, you know, trying to make their mark on Michigan. This was their last enforcement action. Um, you know, there's a different body that's doing it. So he's trying to imply some sort of malfeasance on the part of the NCAA when that's always been the NCAA. The NCAA has an investigative arm and then a ruling arm, and they're not the same people. Yeah, it's like a jury and the prosecution. I mean, think of it that way. So that's what's kind of going on. But you know, no, Steve's definitely, he's positioning. He's got the narrative all warmed up there for. They had it in for Harbaugh. They're trying to
Yeah.
stay relevant. This is their last enforcement case of a football champion series team, and they went out with a bang. And look, I think that frankly, there's some validity to that. Michigan picked a bad time to be in the crosshairs. And they picked a bad time to flip off the NCAA, which is what they've done with Yoko Ono screaming bet and threatening lawsuits and threatening, stuff and destroying evidence and telling people not to cooperate and impeding an investigation and being a repeat offender and not conducting your investigation and not self-reporting. I mean, they picked a bad time to get sideways with the NCAA. But this
Yeah.
is why we knew this was going to be a watershed moment for the NCAA. This is going to be this was their Waterloo, and they were either going to repeat, the mistakes that they'd made previously, or they were going to go into this new system and start hammering folks. And you see what they've been doing the past year. They've been hammering fools, and now this is the one they've been waiting for. This is the case everybody in the NCAA has been waiting for, and now we have it, and that's why you ended up where you are.
Yep, this the one. This the one. And they've been NCAA. They know it. They've been airtight on this. They've even, even with the Central Michigan stuff, everything's been perfectly executed. No leaks, despite what Michigan insiders tried to claim. NCAA ain't leaked nothing. Okay, they've been on it, and so yes, we're coming to an end. Literally any day now, it could happen, and it's just you're seeing you're just seeing the bubbling, the ominous bubbling. And I got Chris Baylor. I don't know if it's Bayless, Balaz. I don't know how you pronounce it, but
Balaz, Balaz,
Balaz,
Balaz, Balaz.
Balaz, Blase. All right. It says actually, hold on. 5 minutes rebooting. Okay, so Spiro said he's going to hop on in 5 minutes, y'all.
You know what that means. You know what that means. He's changing clothes right now. He is. He's like, he's changing clothes. I can see Spiro running upstairs right now. He's just like, okay, I was watching Game of Thrones, and now I need to put down my Macallan and so the popcorn and run upstairs and put on my things. So 5 minutes. I'm
He's
so
polishing
excited.
his little
Oh, he's so
Sparty,
excited.
that little Sparly lumberjack in the background. It's almost showtime. But yeah, get it together, Justin. We waiting on you, brother. But yes, in the meantime, let's laugh at Chris. Everybody hates Chris. Anyway, so as a commenter that said, I thought Connor did cooperate with the investigation, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris has maintained throughout this whole time that, implying that he cooperated. So this is Chris's response. Not to their liking. Duh. Like we knew that. What are you talking about? Like that shouldn't be breaking news. We knew this. Everyone knew this. Okay. So this was no secret. You don't have to be a quote unquote insider to know that Connor Stallions didn't cooperate. So I mean, we saw him on camera in 4K on the freaking dumb Netflix documentary, not cooperating by lying through his teeth, while his boy Dave Portnoy confirmed that he was lying through his teeth about being at Central Michigan. So yeah, I mean, it's like it's you see the bubbling of the so-called insiders just slowly. Now, I haven't heard from Scam Webb, Nevada. I haven't seen anything from him. He may be talking, but I haven't seen anything come up on my timeline. And I would think that Intrinsic and other cats that I roll with or associate with, they would have posted it, they would have shot it to me. But Scam Webb, I can just see him just in the background, like he's a goofball. So ain't no telling what's going on, but he's been quiet from what I can tell. We're just waiting for another extremely cringy and awkward interview with Ward Manuel.
Oh God, yeah, those are
That's what we're
really,
waiting on right now.
those are really uncomfortable, man. It's like you watch that thing and you're just like, oh man, oh man, come
Let's
on,
do another one
Scam.
of those, Scam.
Oh man. No, I think him just being, I mean, we had the Josh Henschel diabolical comment. Yeah, so let's put this together. We've got Talkman losing his mind. We got Beast positioning for the final, gunfight at the OK Corral with the NCAA. We've got Ballast now admitting that maybe the NCAA was unhappy with Stallions. We've got Scam Web's silence. And then yeah, I mean, it is funny how this stuff's going. And I let me contrast that to what this would be like if they had a feeling, or they've been hearing that Michigan was going to walk. They'd be up pounding their chest right now, going, "We're walking, boys. We won. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Don't worry. Happy days are here again." And you're getting exactly the opposite. So it's kind of it is kind of funny watching. But this is precisely what I said would happen. I've told you, we talked about this privately before the shows and stuff. I'm like, watch how this thing's going to go. This is exactly how it's going to go, and it's happening in real time, playing out. And Now they're threatening lawsuits to Spiro and everything else like that. So, man, it's we definitely are in their final death throes right now.
Yes, we are. And I won't play the video, but you can see on the screen. Intrinsic posted Josh Pate. It says Josh Pate has already prepped Michigan fans for their excuse if the NCAA vacates wins, even their title. And in quotes, it says, I saw it happen. I sat in those seats. If I was a Michigan fan, I wouldn't care. Cope season is coming. Michigan cheated. So, yes, I mean, that's a good paraphrase. He's in the video pleading with Michigan fans saying, we all saw it together. Like Josh Pate, man, listen, I think I would sit down and have a drink with Josh. I think he's a nice guy, but boy, man, him and the boy Clapp been extra goofy with this whole Michigan scandal stuff, and they just won't stop. But
No, but I expect it out of them. I've been surprised by how some and we try to keep it positive. I'm not going to mention other sites, but some other podcasts and it's kind of sucking up to the Michigan fans and trying to like, oh, nothing's going to happen and everything's going to be all right. And I'm like, how are they going to handle this? I mean, like, man, you've been like, you've been pandering to the Michigan fan base on this whole thing, and now it's
yeah,
going to come down and like, what you going to do? You're going to say, oh, I knew it all along. I knew it. I was just playing you guys, or yeah, how are you
yeah,
going to go with that? I mean, because I mean, I see Pate do it. I see Joel Klatt do it. I understand they're national guys, but Ohio State fan sites or podcasts doing that just makes no sense to me. But hey,
yeah.
to each his own.
You know my prediction. I've been saying this for months. They're going to, because I've had several rants about the local media, and my contention with them is, it's not that you're just underreporting this story. It's the fact that a lot of them, and I mentioned some outliers, but a lot of them just went in on Ohio State during Tackgate. They treated Tressel and the team like they were just SMU, like they were just the worst, most despicable. Oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. I mean, you thought Tressel would have been Sandusky and Penn State. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Listen, y'all, for those who didn't live through Tackgate or didn't pay that much attention, it was that bad. The national media was one thing, but our local media, well, too many of our local media here in Columbus, Nevada, was awful with that story, and they would not. Then you flip to this story from our rival, which is way worse, and it's barely any information. It's barely any coverage, and when they do cover it, they're constantly saying nothing's going to happen, and this is a nothing burger slap on the wrist. That's what's really upset me from just a intelligence and honesty standpoint and a lazy standpoint, because I'll give them the benefit of doubt. Maybe they don't care and they haven't done any research, but that's lazy. You're in a position to be able to provide facts and shine a light on something, and you're just being lazy. And so, yeah, man, I'm going to go in on them when I've already went on them, but I'm going to go in on them even more when the hammer drops, because Nevada, my prediction has been for our local media, and not even just local media per se, but just podcasters, whoever, who's been pandering, who's been, just kind of playing this off like, oh, whatever. They're going to absolutely go in. They're going to try to dive into it. They're going to try to eat off of it. And I'm not having it. I'm going to say something about it. And here comes the boy Justin Spiro to the stage. What is good, bro?
I was not in my pajamas. I was actually working in my garage, and I was sweaty, but I've had a legitimate issue with my webcam. It's just not talking to my laptop anymore. So I had to do like a manual reset of everything. I think it works. I think you can see me, so I think we're good.
Yep.
I wasn't planning on appearing, but I was listening to your show as I want to do, and I'm really enjoying B. Moses and his run. You're doing a great job, man. I'm really impressed by you. And I was obviously familiar with your work before and had been on your show, but watching this show as often as I do, you've been great. Really great job by you. And I was intrigued by the topic and really the tone of the topic. I am fascinated by this pivot by them. It is hilarious. And I can't help but notice the absence of something that I think it should really not have an absence of. Where is the acknowledgement of you guys, me? Because this pivot to a tone of impending doom however justified it may be or not, I think it's okay to have that. Sometimes chickens come home to roost. Sometimes people don't understand things until it's too late, whatever. But can we get a mea culpa around here? Where's the bravado now? It's so interesting to me that they're acting this way. My conversations, and I don't know if you have anything to dispute this, Nevada, and I'm still working on this. This is an active reporting situation. I'm dying to be the one that breaks kind of the details of this thing, but it's going to be tough because I'm up against a lot of big hitters here, and I know who's digging around. But my conversations with the Michigan people are non-specific pessimism. They don't know. They insist they don't know. I don't think they're lying to me because some of these people have been key sources on points that were vindicated. They don't know exactly what's going to happen, but they don't feel good about it. And there's been some change heavily in the last, I would say, day and a half or 2 days from my conversations. For example, this morning, one of my best Michigan sources sent me simply a sad face emoji and nothing else, and would not elaborate.
Wow.
He did not respond for another 5 hours. I immediately responded to him and actually called him, but he did not answer. It took him hours to get back to me, and he just said, I'll let you know when I can, kind of thing. He can't talk about it. And he did say he doesn't know outcomes yet, but everything is kind of going that way. They just seem down in the dumps. I don't report anything I don't know. That's what I said to you guys 100 times. I'm having fun speculating with you guys. Is your sense of this? It seems to be, from listening to your show tonight while I was working in my garage out there, it seems to be a universal pivot to a sense of impending doom. Has that been your impression?
No question. Yeah, no question. It's been palpable, and it's been kind of a steady drip as it's been kind of going this way. And what I've seen from the people that I talk to is exactly the same thing. My Michigan people have gone more pessimistic. My NCAA person who is not on the case, but part of the NCAA and wants Michigan to go down and wants them to burn is more optimistic than ever. So there's definitely been, there's definitely something is happening for sure that is kind of drawing this undercurrent. And for me, I've always felt I always think things either make sense or they don't make sense. And when it's like putting together a puzzle, but when you're putting together the puzzle and you see what the NCAA is doing to other schools for things that are seemingly trivial, but they're following the book, they're following their investigations, they're applying their laws and statutes evenly, and because they're just cracking everybody right now. And so for Michigan, when you unwind it and when you listen to, some of the great reporting that you've done, Justin, some of the stuff from Intrinsic, some of the stuff from Premier Drum, and some of my own contacts, and you start, pulling through it, and you realize they are staring down a failure to monitor aggravated. That is what they're facing. And unless they were able to sway the jury to move that to just a standard failure to monitor, which I don't, there's nobody that I've talked to believes that anything that they said was compelling, or that, because you're literally just comparing mitigating factors to aggravating factors, and they literally check off every single aggravating factor. And I know they tried to put their finger on the scale there by throwing that meaningless 2-game suspension to Sherrone Moore in games 3 and 4. I actually think that worked against them. I actually think that was something that it showed in a final gasp effort by them. It showed just a lack of understanding of what they were facing, and the fact that they thought they could handpick the 2 games and that would serve as a mitigating factor. I think it would have the exact opposite effect on the people judging them. And I think they're getting a failure to monitor aggravated, and that is a 1 to 3 year show cause. I've always thought they'll split the baby, go 2 years, or postseason ban rather. And but it's definitely out there, man, and I'm feeling it, and I'm seeing it, and I too am getting the funny emoji responses, and that does kind of crack me up.
The one thing I was told, I guess it's in the eye of the beholder whether you want to consider this a substantive update, but I do think it's interesting, at least in terms of the timeline. And I have to laugh because I don't even know who this guy is. A Buckeye guy DM me some anecdote about this, and I got to write him back and say that he's right because he's referring to a contact he has that works for the university. I believe he said in their athletic department. He sent me a long thing. I just skimmed it because I was, like I said, working in the garage. But that's what I was actually going to come on here and talk about. He's right. Michigan is prepping staff for how to handle the fallout of this, whatever the decision is. They have not specified, and this is, I can report this, that they have had conversations with staff, even on the low-level staff rung, because that's the key person who I talked to about this directly on the phone today. And the like actual low-level staff are not like the way they use the term for a guy that was getting game balls and stuff. So they have been prepped on basically don't give any interviews, don't talk to the media, stuff like that. So it's not about totally non-specific. It's not, there haven't been any hints, but what it tells you is they don't expect this decision to be that far in the future. They've already prepped. I think they're getting ready for the outcome. I think you can infer that. And what might be a reach, and I want to ask you guys this because this is not me reporting anything, but it's me interpreting my reporting. I view it as probably not great if they're having rampant staff-wide conversations at multiple levels of their athletic department about not giving comments to the media. It's probably not a great sign, is my inference, because if it's some grand exoneration or slap on the wrist, why are you like making a huge, like, it's not really not necessary to tell people, hey, don't dunk in the media. Like, it's not going to be a scandal really if they're, you know, we know they're not going to be exonerated, but you know what I mean, if they get off with a slap on the wrist. I interpret them having these conversations as preemptively nipping bad news in the bud in terms of the fallout. That's my interpretation. Is that fair?
I mean, B, I'll let you answer first.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely fair. I mean, I don't think there's really any other logical explanation. I mean, I guess you could just say, hey, that's just standard. You know, when a decision comes down, you want your staff to be prepared. I guess you could try to argue that. But if you look at their recent history of how they've handled this, Justin, to me, that falls in line with what you're saying, because they've been pretty brazen, pretty kind of, oh, whatever, and just flippant. But I think I've heard you say, Justin, that their high up people in Michigan are waiting to be done with these riffraffs. Once everything settles, they're ready to move on. So maybe it's kind of that time where they're like, okay, boys, let's prep for this and get this over with. So I would say I would agree. I think that makes a lot of sense, Justin. Nevada, you got anything on that?
No, I agree. I think, yeah, the most generous reading on the thing would be that it's just standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
But you know, it seemingly is inconsistent and out of character for Michigan athletics. Now maybe they've gotten smarter. You know, maybe they've just wised up a little bit, and you know, they've learned, and they're trying to be a little bit you know, more on the ball. But you know,
There's
I think
absolutely. Oh, sorry. I thought you were wrapping.
no,
There's
no,
absolutely an interpretation of that fact that is completely innocent and that it's no big deal. For the record, so it's speculation, but it's not done in a vacuum. It's kind of in combination with these other conversations and what their writers are saying. You're getting everyone sort of drifting to one side here, and it's not a group of people that are easily swayed to the negative, to put it kindly. These are the biggest propagandists ever. I mean, these are guys who honestly should have been sued into oblivion in some cases for what they've said and done to members of, honestly, mostly your community. Ryan Day, his family. It's disgusting what they've done. It's unforgivable. the most undiscussed or underdiscussed thing in this whole thing, from like, just forget like the scandal. I'm talking about like kind of the ancillary stuff, the mechanics of it and the human element of all this stuff. Take out the actual scheme. Is Chris Balas openly and still to this day spreading this Ryan Day Bulls, like, I swear on you, I can't remember, BS openly, even though Ross Dellinger came out with a complete debunking of that, including statements from the Big Ten and the NCAA themselves separately, both saying not only was Ryan Day's brother or any member of his family the whistleblower, not only were they not that, we haven't had any contact with any members of the family. They're not even like coming in with some supplemental information after the ball got rolling. I don't know how, in light of that, you still have a job. And also part of that report, anybody can look it up. Just Google Chris Balas, Ryan Day brother death threats. I promise you'll find multiple articles on this from Yahoo. Ross Dellinger spoke to Ryan Day or a member of his family. It's in the article. They're not quoted, but it's part of the reporting. How you can survive him getting death threats because you spread a BS story and then continued to spread it after you found out he got death threats and after it was completely debunked. It's absurd to me. I don't understand it. I don't. What are we doing here? And it's, I have to constantly hear about what a bad guy I am for just reporting what's going on and for quoting them. Like, what have I done? There's nothing I've done, even remote. I don't regret a single thing about this scandal. My entire life, I have some. In this scandal, I've been perfect because I've been extremely careful and calculated because I understand the sensitive nature of it. And I understand the consequences if I'm wrong about anything. Frankly, I suffer those consequences even though I'm right about everything. I still have people showing up at my house, leaving me stupid, threatening notes on my porch, calling my wife, trying to intimidate us because they're mad about me reporting Sherrone Moore deleting text messages, which he did. So it has admitted to. So I am so careful on this story, and I'm fascinated by watching these complete reckless banjies who have caused real harm to not just Ohio State personnel, but innocent family members of Ohio State personnel. Like, they have attacked innocent family members. This is so beyond the pale. I can't believe that Chris Balas is still employed. If I were Ryan Day, I would have sued him into oblivion. And if I am wrong, I've never once reported it's definitely not, but there's no evidence of it. You haven't presented evidence despite promising you would for almost 2 years now. And it has been repudiated by the NCAA and the Big Ten. It would be pretty odd for Ryan Day's entire family and 2 separate entities to explicitly lie about the source of a whistleblower. They would either say nothing or at some point down the road confirm it with permission of the parties. There's no world that I can see where either of those entities would falsely deny that. What do they care? They have no incentive to deny it. They have incentive to just stay silent and say we don't identify our source. That's what most do. They would not come out and deny it flatly if that were true, if that actually happened. And if one were crazy enough to do it, certainly not both of them. So it's absurd to me that Chris Balas is even allowed to talk about this topic anymore. What has he gotten right this entire time? He was disputing Stallions on the sideline like months into the thing. I said, I don't understand. I don't get where these people have learned nothing in 2 years. And they can hate me and hate you guys and all that. At some point, you have to live in objective reality. And I'm batting 1,000. They haven't gotten an infield hit in 2 years. So I do find their pivot amusing. I'm certain will be sent baskets of apology. I'm sure they feel very contrite about contributing to the kind of madness of people showing up at my house. You know why they do that? Because they're on their message boards spewing the conspiracy theories that gets these people wound up in the first place and deludes their rotten brains, and then tells those people when I report otherwise or report some other kind of actual bad news that will, like everything else, be vindicated in my favor. Ultimately, it's only a matter of time. I've never missed because I only report things I know. The second I do that, he's telling them I'm not credible and basically making me out to be the bad guy. And I'm just using myself as an example. They do this to everybody. They trash everybody. Look what, they don't even need the provocation. What does Ryan Day's brother have to do with anything? The guy's just going about his day. He's probably mowing his lawn and was getting a text. That's probably how he found out. Like, what did he have to do with anything? Not only are you going after an innocent rival coach, you're going after an innocent rival coach's brother. Who does this? What example can anybody cite? I say it all the time. And B. Moses, you were saying this. I've listened to a couple of your shows that I was backlogged. I can't remember which. It was the Intrinsic episode or yesterday's. But you made a great point about how many times you just sit and tell these people, like, bring something substantive to the table. Bring a fact. All it is you're obsessed, rent-free, cry, hammer coming, LOL. I am demolishing them with facts because I'm a lot smarter than they are. You guys are a lot smarter than they are. I am fine. You know, I beg. I'm openly trying to solicit Michigan fans, writers, whomever, anybody with a pulse to hop on. They're not hopping on because they don't think I'm worthy of talking to. They're hopping on. They're not hopping on because they know what's going to happen. Nobody wants any piece of that because I know every single piece of this scandal. I know more than the NCAA knows. I'm sure they know a couple things I don't, and that remains to be seen. I know more than anybody about this scandal, and I am much better at navigating the logic of the facts in this scenario. I'm really good at it, and they could not be worse. You don't need me to take them out. It would be overkill, which is why they don't do it. If any of these people thought that they could make me look bad or undress me, metaphorically speaking, before a live audience, they would be a hero to the Michigan fan base, especially on social media, if they took me out. They would love that. They would get in that ring if they thought they had even a little bit of a chance. It'd be worth the upside. I find them endlessly amusing. I find their behavior appalling. The last thing I'll say before turning the mic off for a minute, because you were talking about Tattoo-gate before I jumped on, what they constantly say is, oh, that was ineligible players. That's why that happened. Technically true, but what a ridiculous, like, technical argument that is. Which is the bigger affront to the integrity of the sport? What they did, or a couple Ohio State players trading their own personal property in exchange at market value for services? That is an older form of commerce than even anything we have with our modern currency. People have been trading goods for services and goods for goods since before Jesus Christ was running around. So I don't know why that's inherently problematic. Now, it was against the rules at the time, wouldn't be now, against the rules. Even if they said, okay, give me a signed jersey and I'll give you 100 tattoos on a car. Okay, well, that's not fair market value. There was even that. They were doing like a reasonable, fair estimated market value in these transactions and these trades. How is that more offensive and more of an affront, more of a threat to the integrity of the game? Guys who, by the way, are already on the team. There's no inducement here. It's not a recruiting trip with like handouts or anything. These guys are already on the team in the pre-transfer portal era where it was really hard to leave. You'd have to sit out a year. It's like nothing really was offensive about what Ohio State did. Now, Tressel couldn't lie. He paid for that. No one ever disputes that. But if we're talking about like what was a bigger threat to the integrity of the game, I don't think your guys' thing was a threat at all. I mean, it's not even like what's the bigger threat. One is a threat and one is not even a little bit of a threat. I mean, so it's interesting how much they shifted where they were so appalled by that. And they want to talk about they're going to sue. I have been reporting for over a year now that the Blake Corum element was something the NCAA was trying to get. I spoke to them about that. They know exactly who to call for a deposition if it gets there. but they don't have subpoena power now. So I knew, not because from an NCAA source, I know from all my Michigan sources that they were asking questions. They were asking around about that, trying to get clarity. They're very, now I talked to them about it, but they don't, when you talk to them, they don't give you anything. They just sit and listen. And, you know, they may ask a couple of questions. I don't really know what they're thinking. I don't know if they think I'm great or like the worst person ever. They just kind of sit there and listen, which is the right thing to do. But I do know that they're well aware of the curiosity with the Blake Corum situation because they've solicited those, you know, those answers, but they don't have them, or they don't have enough to punish on, and they can't compel that. So all of these, whatever the punishment is, does not even factor that in. And that is, in my opinion, from in an NCAA model, their biggest vulnerability, because there was no felony committed here, guys. Number two new. And there is evidence. I don't have it, but I know who does. And I gave them the name. Point being, all this bluster about going to court, I had been saying this for a year. I said this wasn't a component. Now, maybe someone will volunteer and blow the whistle, and then they will have enough. But I don't think so. And now I can tell you it's not in what they're covering now. But if this goes to court, they know exactly what tree to shake to get that fruit down. And so this idea that we're going to challenge it, your most problematic violation is not even a component of this, but it will be if you challenge this in court. So I would be very careful. And by the way, that's not their only problem. That doesn't even get into Jim Harbaugh's cell phone that he wouldn't turn over. Guess who gets that now? That's their rightful discovery, because it's critical. Any judge is going to look at that and say, yes, that's material to this legal dispute. So, I mean, it would be sealed in almost all certainty, but the NCAA would get to see it and, you know, redact it as necessary if they find what they need. So that's a whole other can of worms, but even just keeping it decorum alone. So I'd be very careful. And this is where, if you're the NCAA, you kind of got them by the balls, guys. Just do whatever you want, because they should know that. And I did tell them that, and I think they already understand that. But anyway, I'm bogarting your own show. I apologize.
No. First of all, we're so grateful that you're on the show. So no, I'm riveted. Yeah, the B2C LLC stuff. Obviously, if that ever comes to light, and I believe the only way it is going to come to light is part of discovery, is part of a wider legal process. Yeah, that would definitely open up a whole another set of problems for Michigan. And so much like every time Michigan blusters and threatens to sue, and I'll see you in court and bet, and Yoko Ono screaming and all stuff like that, it's just, this one's going to go the same route. You know that, I know that. Mr. T's ranting. Now I understand they're threatening to sue you too, aren't they? They're saying they're gonna come after Spiro from a legal standpoint. So I'm sure that's kind of got you shooken up. And I want you to be strong. I want you to stay strong now, man.
The last cease and desist letter I got, it was unrelated to this scandal. It's a long story. I won't bore you with it. But if you're curious, I can send you the link. I was so intimidated that I called my attorney and said, "Hey, you want to come in and read the statement with me and break it down?" And I read the statement the day I got it, live on the air, and made fun of the guy who's sent it, openly mocking him with my attorney sitting across from me. It's on tape. That's how scared I get. Now, there hasn't been any formal. What you're getting is a lot of Michigan fans that are like sending screenshots, tagging people, saying, "Hey, you should sue." Like, not just Stallions, but Stallions is the one that's getting it today. In the past, Uncle T has made threats, which I believe you guys have seen on message boards, generally without naming people, but one of them in particular was clearly about just me. I mean, because it was talking about, you know, people running their mouths with, I'm paraphrasing, but with clever edits or something, or clever videos or something like that. It was clearly about me, and it was sent to me by 20 people within an hour. That was a few months back. So I haven't been served anything, but their fans are trying to get them ready to sue me. I have been warned by I don't even know if I'd call them mutual friends. They're more my friends that know Uncle D. We're a couple of degrees of separation away, so I wouldn't like report it as something that occurred. But I have been warned through the grapevine that, you know, he's litigious. He's very aware of me, kind of like I'm on his radar in so many words. And so it's not quite as salacious as maybe you pitched it, but they are putting it in the water like they can sue me. And it's, go ahead. I mean, I went to law school. I'm a journalism major and I have my MBA. Like I have all angles of this covered from, I know exactly what I can say. I know exactly what lines I can go up to and cross, to use their great term, the culture of their wonderful program. I know where I can push the envelope in an edit. I'm not even talking about reporting. I'm talking about my editorializing and my commentary. Can't touch me. And if they do, I have two of the best attorneys, and neither of which is even my primary attorney, who I would probably use because he's such a killer. His dad was the greatest attorney in the state of Michigan history. If you look him up, he's the mafia. And his son might be better than him. So I have no fear at all. I have two great attorneys that are begging the representative, and not even related to this, that have told me at separate times earlier, if you get sued for anything in this process, because they hate Michigan and they're grateful for the coverage and they don't want me to be intimidated, which I wouldn't be anyway, but I appreciate the gesture. So it's like, I would destroy you in court anyway. It would probably get thrown out. My only regret would be, it would be so frivolous, I probably wouldn't be able to get to the discovery phase. It would probably not get there. I think a judge would look at any litigation against me and throw it out in 2 seconds. And I would almost want to string it along a little bit so I can get my hands on those documents, because you know what I have to hide? Nothing. I have nothing to hide. I've been dead nuts accurate on everything. I don't have any seedy relationships. Like, come and get me. There's nothing to get, man. I haven't done anything wrong. So they, on the other hand, I don't know. What do you guys think about someone walking out with 4 hard drives? Why wasn't that prosecuted by the University of Michigan? Isn't that their school property that he fled with, that he walked out with? I feel like that's probably a problem, but I'm sure they're going to get to that as soon as they get to the bottom of him defrauding the star running back of the football team who just set the school's touchdown record for 2 years in a felonious defrauding. Just with a 2-year prison term up to. We're not talking about jaywalking here, but we all know that felony didn't occur because Blake Corum had to have known. If you even take away my reporting and knowledge of the situation, come on. I mean, it's Occam's razor. So they're in a terrible situation. The only way this wouldn't go the way anybody with a sense of conscience and integrity would want it to go is if the NCAA just blows the layup. Because Michigan, I don't even know if they realize how scared Michigan is right now. This is not an opponent they should be afraid of. They should go in and knock them out because they're ready to be knocked out.
Well, as we sit here on Hammer Eve, this is on Hammer Eve. You know, you know the question we're going to ask you. We'll say, just based upon what you know, based upon your information, predict the punishments. You know, we're all being held to account for this. B. Moses is actually predicting the time and the exact moment that the hammer will come down. And if he's wrong, he's inviting everybody to scorn and make fun of him on social media. So I'm not going to ask you to do that because B, I think you're crazy, B, doing that. But I'm going to go to Justin and say, Justin, based upon your best guess, you've been following this one, you've had this thing dead to rights and everything, call the punishments right now within a range. You can give a range on the punishments, but what say you?
I've been dead to rights because I only report things I know and speculate on things that are very well informed. I will say the NCAA has been admirably tight-lipped about this stuff, where even the school doesn't know exactly where it lands.
Yeah, they have.
So if the University of Michigan, and I believe my sourcing up there, doesn't know what they're getting, it's kind of unfair to expect the Buckeye Scoop guys or Dark Roast State News to know. But if you're asking for a prediction, hold on. I don't want to interrupt you, but I mean, hey, CMU hadn't even seen the NOA, but Trevor had read the COA. So, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want
you about to get Spiro fired up over Trevor.
I don't want to get this too far afield, but we'll bring it back.
When it's too late now it has to be addressed. This is a guy who was banging the drum for injunction junction, what's your function in November of 2023, telling anybody in the Buckeye fan base and the Spartan fan base that tough luck pansies, there's going to be an injunction. They are never going to. First of all, it started with they won't even dare suspend Harbaugh. And then you get into the we're going to leave the Big Ten and burn it down and Petit end his career, all that stuff. Then it became, okay, even if you do, we're going to get this shut down and slammed out of court. I openly, and this receipt was just shared, I said, I keep hearing this stuff and it keeps getting worse for you guys. And on my own show, openly discussed this. Anyone can pull the tape on this. I'm happy to do it. It'd be a great receipt to share. I was saying it across multiple platforms. I said, I don't know for sure what a judge is going to say, but I know what evidence the Big Ten has, which came from the NCAA. Now, I was saying this at the time. Now that's a known fact that they were sharing evidence, and Charlie Baker even said that. It wasn't known at the time. That was me reporting that I know what the NCAA has. I know what they gave to the Big Ten, and I don't see any way that even Michigan is going to look at this evidence and say, okay, this is a good fight for us. That's exactly what I reported. And Trevor McHugh is bloviating this nonsense of how it's going to be shut down in 2 seconds. I guarantee he's going to be on the field coaching Saturday in Happy Valley, all this nonsense. And when honestly, and I just shared the receipt. Anyone can look and judge for yourselves. I very polite. I didn't attack them. I just said, I keep hearing how everything's going to be fine. It keeps getting worse for you. And he bombs me and calls me a fake news reporter for that very gentle criticism. And then 11 hours later, Harbaugh and the University of Michigan both dropped their lawsuits. And Bruce Feldman reports, what does he say? What does he say on the Saturday Fox show? Michigan saw the evidence and backed off. That was Bruce Feldman. Right after 2 days after I said it, and not even 24 hours after Trevor McHugh bombed me for even thinking that was possibly a correct interpretation of facts and called me a fake news reporter. How funny is it that I'm telling him exactly what's going to happen in a polite way? I was way nice for my standards because I'm fed up. I wasn't as fed up in November 2023. Now I wouldn't be so nice, but I was very polite, and anyone can go read it. The fact that he doesn't just disagree or dispute, mocks me and say, stick to what you're good at, false reporting. That's what he said. And then like 11 and a half hours later, even Harbaugh looked at this and said, oh, yeah, I'm going to take this line down. Harbaugh, this is a guy that they had the smoking gun and they were waving it in his face in Cheeseburger Gate, and he still wouldn't give an inch. I mean, this is the most stubborn human who has never apologized for anything ever, who is the most just ridiculous stone-faced weirdo to ever patrol a Big Ten sideline. And even he said, oh no, thanks. So what does that tell you? So it's just, Trevor's a perfect example. How do you have that interaction with someone who was polite with you, by the way? You took it to a hostile place. How do you have that interaction with someone and not apologize? I would be horrified. And it'd be bad if it were like 2 weeks later. It was not even 24 hours later. It was like the next morning on the Fox show. What are we doing here? I would have been sending me baskets of apology and little notes with sweet tarts. I would feel so bad if I falsely maligned somebody like that. I can't even get a qualified apology. Never came. As far as the prediction, I have a hard time believing, A, the NCAA would handle it this way, and B, the people in Michigan, their general tone would be this way if it wasn't something bad. They wouldn't be acting this way if it's going to be, a fine and like 2 scholarships reduced or whatever. I feel pretty good about a postseason ban. That's just tea leaf reading. I am like kind of 50-50 on wins vacated. And I'm 100% that they should be. I know that there are people that want that matter in terms of decision makers here. I don't know, but I would be shocked if it's not at least some form of postseason ban. So I feel comfortable saying that's as a prediction non-report, that's where I think it lands. And I disagreed with you. Again, I can't remember which show it was. I don't know if it was both of you. I know Nevada said, oh, I kind of prefer the postseason ban. I would flip that. To me, it's so critical that 3-year period is erased because it was fake. I agree. And it's a more impactful punishment, like kind of big picture health of the program going forward to do a postseason ban. I think it frankly should be both. I don't think we should have to choose. There's a good chance we don't have to choose. But to me, the vacation of wins from a pure, it's not even just the Schadenfreude. For the historical record, how can those wins stand? How? You had 50 FBS coaches surveyed by the aforementioned Bruce Feldman in The Athletic, including several head coaches, coordinators, some position coaches. 50. Asking a number of questions. Among them, how many points was this thing worth?
Yeah.
37 of the 50, 74%, said at least 3 to 7 points, and some of them, among them, were much higher. The other 13, the only other 13, they didn't say it was less than that. They said it's impossible to calculate. So basically, they abstained from that particular question. They said, we can't even tell. It wasn't, oh, it doesn't matter. It's just, I can't even tell you. I can't calculate. That means that if you exclude the abstentions, 37 FBS coaches were asked how much this matters in a game, per game, not like over the course of a season, per game, how much does it matter? And on the lowest end, it was 3 to 7 points. The lowest end, there were several a lot higher. How can I take that? 100% of FBS coaches surveyed, 100%. Yeah. How can I take that and not look at multiple games in 21 and 22 and even 23 post-scandal, because I don't think you can cut that tie just because Stallions isn't on the sideline anymore. But even just sticking into the first years, how many games flip if forget 3 to 7 points per game? If I take away 3 points in the entire season, if that scheme, if that cheating scandal, oh, it's a minimal advantage. Okay, 3 points a game. What does that come out to? Like 1/5 of a point per game? That's all it would have taken to flip them. And Ohio State is in their place in Indianapolis in those 2 years. So I don't want to hear it. If the entire scandal was worth 3 points over the course of 2 years and it flips one game by a couple points, 3 points in 2 years, minimal advantage. That's pretty minimal, right? The whole thing is gone because they don't fundraise off the momentum. B. Moses, you know, we talked about that. You've talked about it. They direct Blake Corum's on the cover of the money issue for SI. The money issue, openly, explicitly saying, I would not be back for the senior year if it weren't for that NIL fund. An NIL fund, which explicitly and celebrated this fact, raised funds off the momentum of 21 and 22. So I want the vacated wins. Yes, I Schadenfreude, sure, but even just like what's right, those wins cannot stand. They can't.
Not at all.
It's a Mickey Mouse. I don't need the NCAA to tell me that title doesn't count. Like I'll never take that even semi-seriously. But for the sake of the game, that has to be priority number one, in my opinion.
Yeah, that Natty's number one. And you right. You watched the right show with me, Nevada, talking about that. Listen, we want both, and I see people in the chat talking about this should be both. And I don't think Spiro's saying it's one or the other. He's
100%.
just saying, right. He's just saying that how can you not? And we've went over ad nauseum, Intrinsic, myself, Funky Buck, Nevada. We've showed you receipts in the bylaws of how they can and how they have the authority to vacate wins, even if it's not technically just an ineligible player because he took inducements or something like that. They can do it. It's just a question on will they do it? And per Justin's point, it's clear. What better case can you make than this to vacate games? There is none. So I agree, Justin. I guess my confidence lies in the fact that from the very beginning, the Tony Petitti letter set the tone, Justin. It set the tone, and it only was steady from there and got worse with the Central Michigan and all the, everything that came along with the investigation. So to me, that tone-setting letter is what is giving me confidence, and the fact that we can clearly see they can do it. That's what's giving me confidence that they're going to do the right thing by vacating wins for them. basically taking a death blow to the integrity of competition, and really, I mean, the unprecedented nature of what they did. So that natty is number one for me. The bowl ban is absolutely necessary, but that natty, that has to go. Has to. And them Big Ten titles and all the wins in Nevada.
Well, I mean, look, I used to feel that way, but then Josh Pate said that he saw the games and that we should all just remember that we saw the games. And so he swayed me over to the other side on that and stuff like that, because
In
Josh,
what world does that make sense? Like, if I cheat at poker and I win, and they find out and they take my chips away, am I going to be like, oh, we all saw me sit at the table and win? No, it's going to be like, you're a cheat. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Right.
I to sit here and fondly remember that the river card. Like, no, I mean, is anybody? Maybe I will, because if I'm a delusional idiot that would cheat in the first place. But would anybody else in the poker world be like, well, doesn't matter what the board says, we all saw him win? No, that's not, in what world does that make sense? I mean, yeah, like, sure, you can't take away the memories. Like, you're not going to go back in time and have a good time. But if that's what you're saying, fine. But this whole notion of like, oh, I saw it happen with my own two eyes. What does that even mean? We see a lot of stuff happen with our own two eyes. People thought they saw Jim Jones making people float through the air and making quadriplegics walk again. I don't care that it was debunked. I don't care if it turns out he was cheating the game. I saw that quadriplegic get out of that wheelchair and walk. No other person or in any other context makes this argument. Where if something is revealed, in this case in real time, which is even funnier, but after the fact in most cases, to have been tainted, nobody looks at that as like, oh, I remember they're the champs. Nobody. You are state. Who looks at Lance Armstrong was just cheating exactly on the same level of everyone else in that industry, from my understanding. He just cheated a little better and performed better as they were all cheating in the same basket. Not the way Michigan pretends everyone does this. Like, actually, does that change the fact that everyone looks at Lance Armstrong as kind of a joke in terms of his accomplishments, at least? It's absurd. So I don't know if they're coping. I think that's what it is. But it's an absurd argument, and especially coming from the total dorks that constantly cite the all-time wins record. Don't tell me you don't care about it. You care about, that's the thing you don't shut up about. Even though a lot of those wins came because you got there before anybody else, and you were beating up on dental schools. I mean, so good for you that you were a football program like 30 years before Michigan State was on any real level. And you were beating up sandlot teams, but I digress. Like, don't tell me it doesn't matter. That's all you talk about, and that number is going to change. So there's a number of reasons why that's nonsense. I don't even think they believe that, but what do I know? I mean, I'm just the one that's been right about everything.
well, somebody brought up on our board today, and it was a really good point. They were talking about, how you could liken, we talked about the unprecedented nature of this. And they said the only thing that could kind of draw a parallel to this would be if you were hacking into the signals, like the headset signals, and give them. And I'm like, that's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that is going to happen at some point in time, where somebody's going to. I mean, right? Isn't that inevitable?
Sure, and yes, I agree. But there's so much to this, guys. I don't even know if most of not just you two, like most of the people on our side of this even really understand. Take away the sign stealing stuff. You had like the upstream stuff, the behavior afterwards. I can't imagine there's ever been an entity, corporation, whatever, any type of collective of human beings that have ever had 3 separate members of their staff caught destroying evidence in a 2.5-week span. They had 3 people captured. How many do we not even know about? If you found out about 3, I'm guessing there's probably at least one more. I mean, did you go 3 for 3 catching the culprits? Probably not, but let's just work with what we know happened. 3 members of their staff, not a kid making a mistake, 3 members of their professional staff, including their current head coach, who at the time was their offensive coordinator, including their current head coach, not a low-level staffer, their presumed coach in waiting at the time he did it, and their current head coach, a guy that they viewed as worthy of succeeding. What does that say? That they promoted him to that position after he was caught destroying evidence of people say, oh, it wasn't an active investigation. Yes, it was. The news broke just because they didn't call you yet. Believe me, they were the investigation was underway the instant that news broke. So that's what does that even mean? Because they didn't call you yet. That investigation opens immediately. You don't think the NCAA is making phone calls the day that thing starts coming out? The investigation was open. So even like that, you talk about how many points is this worth, or you're telling me it's a hacking or what? All good points, all true. But if they're so innocent, why do I have 3 separate members of their staff destroying evidence or tampering with the investigation? I refer to Stallions walking out, allegedly, but true, with, I believe it was 4 hard drives from the offices, Michigan property. Why that hasn't been prosecuted by them, who knows? Maybe they don't want them back. I can't imagine they do. So that's 1. You have Sean Moore deleting text messages. That's 2. Then you have Chris Partridge, who I'm the only one that has reported this. I guess I haven't been vindicated or debunked yet, but I mean, it took me a year and a half to be vindicated on WEISS. This is true. I don't even know if you guys know this. Chris Partridge, part of what he did that they found out, the Michigan did, this isn't an NCAA thing, this is a Michigan thing. They found out he was in their server messing with the hard drive, like the shared drive, including manipulations of the infamous Stallions manifesto. So we all know, and it was widely reported, including by me, that he was tampering with the investigation. But he was also destroying evidence, and because destroying or altering evidence. So I have it on good authority. He was not hiding anything nefarious. It wasn't like he was changing the coordinates to the bag drop point. And it wasn't that. It was basically, it was stupid. It was Stallions had some weird stuff in there about glistening muscles on, Blake Corum's hamstrings. It just kind of, I'm making up the names, but it was kind of like weird out there stuff. And Partridge seemingly genuinely didn't want players getting jammed up that didn't even know they were in this document, because they're mentioned in Stallions' weird journal. So for whatever it's worth, I will report honestly on them. I don't think it was anything nefarious, but it's still tampering with evidence, and the school itself, or the NCAA didn't even know about that. So it's what does it say about the institution that they have 3 staff members destroying evidence in 17 days, even after all the stuff we're talking about? Couldn't you just hammer them for that alone, even if you didn't think this scandal mattered at all? 3? I mean, 3. 1 would be a huge scandal.
Right.
2 would be like, what the hell's going on here? I don't even know what to say about 3. Although 3 is kind of a magic number for them. They're the only school to have 3 staff members destroy evidence in less than a month, and the only head coach to be suspended 3 times in less than a year and not lose their job. I mean, what an incredible legacy they've left. How is anyone supposed to look at this seriously? I have the only coach in the history of organized sports on this continent, anyway, because I've looked and I've challenged people to find an example. The only coach to ever be suspended twice in less than a year without losing their job. And then he set and then broke his own record with a 3rd. And then after all this stuff, 3 staff members in the course of 2.5 weeks are busted destroying evidence material to the investigation. Oh, yeah, but by the way, that was a legitimate 3-year run for sure. Those wins against Ohio State should definitely count. They should definitely be taunting Ryan Day over wins that came under those circumstances. Like, it's insane. They could have done 15% of what they did, and I would think the whole thing's a joke. They are so far beyond. I mean, they're almost too crazy. They're kind of like in the Mike Tyson zone, as Bill Simmons used to say, where Tyson had that like 10-year run where I believe anything. Like it's that you almost get desensitized. People have to understand how bad this is and how bad they were. And you can have water cooler arguments about the meaningfulness, the impact of the points. What you can't have water cooler arguments about are the staffers destroying evidence, because even the school has admitted all 3 of them.
Hey, real quick, Nevada, Justin, we do got some super chats stacking up now. Specifically with the super chats, there's a few of them that Justin, I kind of want you to weigh in on if you're up to it. If you want to stay, it's up to you. but
I
a
feel
few
bad
of
that I'm
them,
talking so much on your show. So you tell me.
No, 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 no,
no.
no, no,
This
no,
this is
no.
this is dope, man. Like you, here's the thing, real quick. I'll say, Justin, it's one thing if someone's just talking, because there's some people who are just long-winded and they just talk, and it's just like, okay, what do you do? You're not that guy. You bring receipts, you bring bars, you bring insight, intelligence, facts. Like we enjoy hearing that. So that's a completely different thing. But I appreciate the sentiment. But with that said,
Well, you guys
there
should
are,
be appalled. You guys should be appalled by what happened because
oh, we are.
If I were
We
an
are.
Ohio State fan, I would be so. I mean, I'm mad on principle. I wasn't even affected. My team won the one year they had a chance to win that game, regardless. Whatever. I'll let you get to your.
But
chat.
listen,
It's
Justin,
just,
on the
you
spaces,
guys, I would not think tonight.
Justin, remember on the spaces the other night, I was telling you there's still Buckeye fans who are still poo-pooing this like it's not a big deal, and why are you still talking about this? And
They tried to ruin Ryan Day's life, and
They
then
don't
when
care.
they got busted for it, they went after his family. What kind of Godfather 1942 Bronx shit is that?
Right.
I mean, get handcuffs on some of these people. They get them off the streets. This is well beyond anything I've ever seen or even heard of. If it were in a movie, I would think it was absurd. I can't wrap my mind around these people. Like what they did to Ryan Day in particular and the program is disgusting. It had real consequences for innocent, good people, even aside from him. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Nevada, before we jump in, did you want to say anything to that?
No, I get smarter every time I listen to Justin. So yeah, Justin, we're just very grateful that you're on the show. And like I said,
I was listening live. I was inspired.
Hey, like we said, man, it's the Super Friends. Like we literally, for you younger folk out there, Google this or YouTube it later. But it's like Voltron, Intrinsic, Justin Spiro, Buckeye Scoop, Premier Drum, just coming together, just transforming, whatever. Like, I mean,
that Intrinsic show was so good. The guy that I tweeted that today.
Yes,
that was because you guys, he did such a good job. You guys like asked the right question. It was so well done. It's hard to recommend anyone listen to a show like anything longer at all than 2 seconds. But that people should really check that out. That was great.
Yeah, I agree. So let's dive in. First, I was laughing at this, Justin, because I wasn't paying as much attention to the chat. And Stilly Matt texted me, and then I caught up with the chat, and it was just blown up with comments like this. Thank you, Lisa Scherrer, for the 199. Spiro wants 5 minutes. Can you let him in, please?
My wife will tell
like,
you my 5 minutes is like 50. You got to like do a 10x. So she nailed it. I think the conversion checks out.
No, that was hilarious. And the chat was filled with that. But also we got Ryan Day's brother here in the chat with the $2. He said, "Don't blame me. I just delivered the tea."
That's the whole. I mean, we talked about this on MySpace. Who cares if it's true?
Right.
That's why they're so crazy. Like it's a false allegation that if it's true, who cares? Yeah. What were they supposed to do? Find out they were the biggest victims by far of the largest, most impactful on-field cheating scandal in the history of the NCAA and just like not complain? Okay, if it comes out that they're right, which I don't believe it will, and it's been debunked, what does that even prove or mean? Who cares? Whatever. They're so stupid. I just need. How do you not say one intelligent thing in 2 years? I think like a monkey could accidentally burp something out of some coherence and intelligibility over the course of 2 years if they bang their head against the wall enough times. Maybe something will like spit out of their mouth. I don't know how. This is the longest no hitter I have ever seen. They are in the 400th inning of a perfect game. There hasn't been a single hit for them. I don't know how you don't even stumble. And I've said it before. Chris Ballas, if he predicts the sun rises tomorrow, get your affairs in order and kiss your families. It's over.
Oh man. You got anything on the don't blame me, I just delivered the tea, Nevada?
Yeah, well, that's always been I always feel like it's kind of like I feel like Tom Hanks in Big, where he's like, I don't get it. I'm like, I don't really understand what difference does it make. I feel like that literally I feel about this whole thing. Whenever they bring it up, I'm like, does that I don't understand why that even matters. But I just feel like
I,
I'm just like so dumb that I just don't get it.
no, they're too dumb, and you can't reduce yourself to that level of intelligence quotient. I mean, the progression of this has been so funny because I mean, it was literally this is nothing at all. We didn't do anything at all, and then it was okay. We did something, but it didn't matter. And then it was like, okay, maybe it mattered a little bit, but it was a lone wolf. Then it was like, okay, maybe there was some complicity of other parties, and maybe he's a little more important, but everybody does it. And then we went from that to who's blowing the whistle. Okay, let's go after Ryan Day's family. I mean, how you go from we did nothing to we did something a little bit, it didn't matter, but now we're everybody does it. Now that we're like, okay, now we're just mad at, like, we're calling people tattletales. Hey, what kind of a defense is that? Their entire defense is overreach, which I reported in January, 11 days before Yahoo discussed it, and I believe you guys have talked about it too, that overreach was going to be Michigan's primary defense. It's overreach. Essentially, what boils down to lack of jurisdiction. It's going to be you don't have the authority inherent in the bylaws to punish us in this to this degree, even though they do. The bylaws are NCAA friendly. They're pretty broad in their interpretation by design, and that with the member institutions helping draft them because they don't want people cheating them. So they want broad authority. So I don't even know what any of this means. I just think it's funny that we went from it didn't happen to it didn't matter to it mattered to, okay, it matters, but you can't do anything. You don't have the power to. And if you try, we're gonna bankrupt you in court. What kind of a principled stand is that? Have you no shame that you have now gone like? And by the way, where's the apology for all the times you were wrong about the other 5 things? But whatever. The fact that their entire platform is basically like we're going to get off on a technicality, which I don't even think they will. But what an embarrassment! What an absolute embarrassment! That it's so shameful.
And real quick, Justin, before we move on to the next super chat, remember I told you I was going to call you and hit you up about something. I'll just tell you now. So look, I do memes, I do videos, like illustrative videos and stuff like that. And I've put out a lot of that stuff for this Michigan stuff, not to the level that you're doing. I mean, you're Scorsese level, like, you know, and I'm trying to get to that point. But we have to figure out me, collaboration. I don't care. We have to do a video chronicling like the stuff you just said, how they just flipped and kept flipping and flipping and flipping. We need to do like a humor-based, fact-based type of video explaining it visually of how they flipped over these 2 years into the point where the hammer dropped. We got to do that, bro, because it's been amazing. We've been in the trenches with this. People on the outside is kind of whatever. They haven't seen the twists and turns of the illogical, twists and turns. So that's what I was going to hit you up about is we got to figure something out, bro. We got to do like a mini.
I'm down 100%. I think I'd be funny on principle to release like a joint venture because both fan bases hate them so much.
Yes, joint venture.
Because I have so many edits already, and like some of them, they're not like specifically in the model you said, but as components of that. But one of my favorite edits and drafts right now is spoiler alert. It's Harbaugh on the radio, or I think it was on a podcast, but I present it like a radio broadcast. But it's his real audio with the infamous Urban Meyer quote, which was surprisingly hard to find. You can find the articles about the controversy follows him everywhere. I bet you won't be able to find audio of this in under an hour. It took me like 3 hours. I can't even remember where I finally stumbled across it on some blog that wasn't disabled yet. But it's actually hard to find this audio. So I think a lot of people probably never heard it. They read the comment. They never heard it. And if they did hear it, they heard it once and haven't heard it again. So the video opens with that. And it goes then rips through all of their controversies in Act 2. The end of Act 1 is going through every quote of note that Harbaugh made about other coaches. Ryan Day, Urban Meyer, Mark D'Antonio, Luke Fickell. Noticing a theme, a bunch of Buckeyes here. Right. But even like Kirby Smart, Nick Saban. I have like, it's going like slideshow. Here's everything this MFer said about everybody else. until the second his scandal broke. And we're supposed to listen to him complain about an Ohio State staffer showing up to the facility and just kind of joshing around and showing a guy a swim move or whatever for 2 seconds in an informal basis. Like, sure, it's against the rules. I'm not like defending, but that's not a level where you call someone out in front of their peers without even having a conversation with them and be like, hey, man, that's not kosher. Like, that's not enough of a level where you would go to there. I'm supposed to listen to that guy complain about that. And Luke Fickell, he's bombing Luke Fickell for not understanding the transfer rules. Like, it's no cheating or anything else. It's like a clerical understanding of the rule, effectively. I'm listening to him rant about all this crap and call everyone else out for mostly nothing and non-specific allegations in large part. And then they pull off this stunt, which is it's the biggest disgrace and threat to the integrity of the game ever. And I got to listen, like, cry more, coat more, hammer coming memes. No, children. No, that's not gonna fly. I've been listening to this BS, and unlike you guys, I've had to live amongst these people my entire life. You of all people do not get to tell me to shut up or anybody else to shut up, because you have been chasing boogeymen your entire existence. You have made slanderous claims against Mark D'Antonio with non-specific allegations. He's dirty D'Antonio. Okay, what's dirty about?
Right.
Oh, he picked up a kid from the drunk tank. That's it. So so that's the video I'm working on now. I'd love to hop on one with you, but wait until you see the parade of comments that this MFer made about everybody else under the sun. And he says controversy follows Urban everywhere he goes. Urban, God love him, he's got to up his game and, I don't know, take some psychedelics. He can't introduce enough chaos into his life to even approach Harbaugh. It's the one thing Harbaugh has got him on. Well, that, and he's a better pro coach. But in the college level, has there been a more controversial coach than Jim Harbaugh ever? If I cut his scandals in half, is he still not in first place? So that's what I'm working on. I'd love to do something with you, though.
Yeah, let's definitely talk for sure. J Stu 007, thanks for the $4.99. No comment, just supporting. I appreciate you for that. Thank you so much. Beach Bum Zero, thanks for the 5. Nevada Buck, this is for you. What do you say about the argument that 5 of the 6 level 1s are aimed at individuals and not the team up north?
Yeah, I mean that is factually correct. But the one level 1, there is a level 1 institutional charge that is a failure to monitor aggravated, and that's the one that's going to bring Michigan the most trouble. I think all that. Oh, my dog agrees with that. I think everything else is just going to be show causes. You know, we can speculate as to how long those are going to be, or suspensions, or recruiting restrictions. But I mean, all it takes is one level 1 failure to monitor aggravated, and that's 1 to 3 year postseason ban, and that's what they're staring down.
Yep. Good answer. Good answer. All right. Mike Green, what's up, brother? Favorite of the show. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for the $4.99. How, with all that sideline team participation, Connor was the Lone Ranger cheating? What Jimmy was finishing the practices like a pastor TD Jakes? So I think Mike is just basically laughing at the fact that because Justin, Nevada, one thing I've seen not an uptick, but just a circle back. They circling the block on this narrative, the lone wolf narrative. You know, even with the Central Michigan, Trevor McHugh trying to make it seem like, oh, Michigan had no ties and all that other stuff. It's circling the block on the lone wolf narrative. They're pushing that. So that's what Mike Green is saying. It makes no sense. We don't buy any of it. Whatever. So, fellas, anything on that?
Well, I'll talk, and then I'll let Justin talk. But the idea, you know, one, I know I don't want to do Justin, but you know, the idea of his motivation is definitely not what it's about. It was his presence on the sideline that was the violation. Secondly, I just find it hysterical that somehow Central Michigan was aware of his sign stealing abilities and hired him to do this freelancing work, but that Jim Harbaugh, his boss, was blissfully unaware that he was this sign stealing playing, crime fighters. This is like Bruce Wayne at Wayne Enterprises or something like that. That like everybody else is aware, but like Alfred's still walking around going, Mr. Wayne, where are you going? What's going on? So yeah, it's another thing that's totally irrelevant, but just kind of hysterical at the same time.
Sign stealer guy. Go ahead, Justin. If you got something.
I mean, well, we've debated. It's one of the only things we disagree on, kind of. About Harbaugh's knowledge. I've always said it doesn't really matter. It would be more salacious. Certainly, I can't say it's irrelevant, but it's not a requisite component of this that he knew. He certainly should have known. We've talked over and over again. I cited the quote. I sent it to Nevada. I've sent him the graphic. I've tweeted the graphic. The NCAA had and you mentioned it on your show the other night, very targeted wording of that first final decision in Scandal 1. So it's a completely fair point that you're making about McElwain, because I'm pretty sure I'm the first one, although I get this is one of those things that haven't been, you can't really debunk or report, I guess. But Jim McElwain did know about it. He knew what was going on, and he was lying in that press conference. I can report that for a hard fact. So whether he knew the extent of how good this guy was or how he was doing it, maybe he just thought the guy was a savant and he was doing it legally. The only problem is you would know that it's illegal that you're doing it with you. So what does that say about how he's so good in the, these are all fair questions. So I can't argue the point. The fact that McElwain knew does not bode well. I mean, even if you didn't know, what does that say? I mean, that is the most appalling lack of oversight. You're telling me other coaches know you're what's going on with your staff more than you do? Oh, that's another level of bad. I mean, how inadequate are you with the monitoring?
Sign stealer guy. Yeah, this is lying naked with a shark on a boat bad. I don't know who would do something like that. But all right. Jonah.
For the record, I got to say, because she might watch this, my good friend Kennedy Broadwell was the one that was pressing him on that and got that answer from him. She was at that press conference. So if you watch the whole transcript, that's my buddy Kennedy. You'll hear her voice.
Kudos.
So
Kennedy.
in case she's like, I don't even think that question was going to get asked. Like, he was like, standing around. It's like, oh, I guess I have to ask it. So credit to her. She's the only reason we even have that soundbite.
Shout out to Kennedy. Thanks for the $4.99. Jonah, no way Moore survives this. There's a reason why he brought those trophies to Big Ten Media Day. I'm still torn about this, fellas. I keep going back and forth about this, Nevada, to be honest with you. So I'm very curious to know what you think, Justin. But I'll just say this. The reason I keep going back and forth is because Nevada's point is how can you keep a coach like that, especially if they get a long show cause and everything comes out and it's really, really bad. But on the flip side is, who are they going to get? So wouldn't they just keep him to be there to keep, help clean up the mess? And who are they going to hire with a bowl band or stuff like that? So I kind of keep going back and forth. Nevada, did you want to hop in? Do you want Justin to hop in first on this one?
I'll go first, and I want to hear Justin give the correct answer. I'll give my incorrect answer. I just don't. I mean, I think he's going to get a multiple year show cause as a repeat offender that destroyed evidence in an active NCAA investigation. I think if they're giving 10 years to that poor math tutor or whatever it was at Memphis, then I just don't know what SHERRONE is going to be. But it's going to be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or whatever it's going to be. And can Michigan really afford to have a head coach under a show cause when they're now just got hit as a repeat offender? Because I'm just not sure where the NCAA goes if SHERRONE Moore screws up one more time. I mean, is that really the advent of the death penalty at that point? So I don't know. It seems pretty perilous to me, but Michigan has been reckless throughout. So who the heck knows?
A couple of things here. For one, I may agree with you that there has to be some type of show cause just based on precedent and looking around. I would say if there's not, it doesn't make sense that there's not one. And that's not like fan bitching and moaning. That's actually just looking at the track record of situations, although it's hard to compare anything. This is actually worse than most things. But I digress. It's tough to find anything even half this bad that didn't result in that for a repeat offender. So I agree with you, and I'll just say that if we're wrong, it is a well-informed, researched, educated, backed by evidence prediction that went wrong inexplicably. There's no reason that he wouldn't. The other component that I'll say is, and I reported this last year at a number of points, Michigan was becoming internally somewhat disenchanted and concerned with Sherrone Moore, irrespective of any of this. There were some real concerns how, like, operationally running a building. The term "in over his head" was used by one of the key sources up there at Michigan. This is a guy who is high up there and knows and was concerned, and effectively argued, talking around it to me, that if that game against you guys doesn't happen in the Alabama game, they would have not necessarily fired him, but he would have been like boiling hot water, irrespective of any investigation at all. And he really got the dogs off him. I think people forgot because Ohio State had a kicker miss 2 short field goals and 2 missed holding calls were blown on the Mullings run. And you guys didn't really show up that day like you should have. Because of that, like if your kicker goes 1 for 2 on short kicks in perfect weather, the entire narrative around Sherrone Moore, it's sort of like falsely corrected, which, you know, is fine in the moment, but it's the same way I argued for Ryan Day being overly punished because 1 or 2 plays went wrong in a big spot where his whole legacy is different. Now he's since vindicated himself. It's like he really was not doing well there, even behind the scenes. There were a lot of concerns there internally. I had that double sourced. Either one, I would feel comfortable saying it alone, given who it is. So if there's any show cause for him, what are you preserving if you make the very odd decision to retain a coach like that? In my opinion, and I don't think there's an exception really, I can't think of one, a show cause is a de facto termination because you can't keep him. But if there were going to be an exception you're going to make, it would be for Urban Meyer, D'Antonio at his peak, Kirby Smart, you know, like the Saints is on an NFL level. It's like Sean Payton's a hell of a coach. Like, we'll Donegate, we'll suck it up for a year. This is not a guy you make that exception for. So I don't know how he lasts, because it would make no sense for him not to get a show cause. And if he gets one, why would they keep a guy that I know for a fact, I'm telling you, they don't even really like that much to begin with? I mean, his in-game coaching is awful, like from a game management standpoint. And my coach wasn't in any great shakes either. So I got my own problems. I'm not casting any judgment from a high horse, but boy, was that bad. I mean, their Indiana game, they could have won. He took them out of the game. He just left 40 seconds off the clock for no reason and then called a timeout. So there were a lot of questions with him. So yeah, I agree. They don't really like Sherrone Moore that much anyway. I almost kind of hope they keep him. They joked about that with Ryan Day, which is dumb. He's the best coach in the country, like 1A, 1B with Kirby. I kind of want them to keep him. He's not good, guys. I'm telling you, the guy can't even run the football building. It's not going on. He's a good recruiter. He's not a CEO. It's going to be a problem for them. That's coming from them. I don't know what's going on in their building. I'm told this.
Yeah, I think Nevada agrees with that. He's not a good coach and keep him. So we'll see. That's going to be a big thing I want to see come up. DLS141, thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member. Thanks for the 10. I cannot wait for Steve. We're going to war, DAce's podcast, after the hammer drops. They're moving the goalposts faster than Vandy fans after beating Bama. That is hilarious. Yeah, Steve DAce. Justin, I don't know if you've ever heard me say this. A good friend of mine, DeJuan, he got me hip to Steve DAce some years ago after the 2018 game when we blew them out, where they had the Revenge Tour T-shirts on. Yeah. And we blew them out at the shoe. I never heard of him before that game. He got me hip to his podcast of him melting down, and I've been drinking his tears ever since. And I'm ready for that podcast for him to. Well,
so am I. I hate to cut you off because I have to get my daughter's in Shrek tomorrow, and actually her rehearsal gets out at 10:15. This girl is way too young for this, but I have to pick her up. But I'll say last thing on Deese though, I respect him for a couple reasons in a weird way. He brings on rival commentators and gives them all the time they want to talk, which almost none of them do. You think Dallas is going to bring on some Buckeye? Like, not going to happen unless it's like some total cuck. So he'll have a conversation with anybody and be polite to them. I respect that. And he and I are the only two, I mean, not in tandem, but we're the only two of anyone ever that reported exactly what happened in 2020 with COVID. They didn't fake test results. They stopped enforcing their own protocols,
point.
and that's why they had the outbreak. So did they duck you directly? Yes and no. Did they punk out on their season consciously and deliberately stop enforcing their own protocols and health and safety standards that they were bragging about for 6 months? Yes. So they punked out on their season. They didn't fake any test results. They were legitimately testing positive, but he's the only one. It comes to Michigan State. He and I were the only two people reporting this.
Yeah.
And I give him credit for that because anyone else over there would have buried that. But love you guys. I'm going to listen to the end.
Appreciate
you.
Thanks, buddy. Go.
That's not
Go.
We'll talk to you, man. Peace.
Appreciate you.
Yep. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Nevada, did you have anything on this Steve DA's comment?
No, it's been funny watching them move the goalposts, but that's what they do, and it's going to be fun watching them spin how this is actually a victory. Because I think some of them, I think some of them will blow. They'll say the administration completely, chickened out and they're not tough enough, and we should fight and stuff. But others will just claim victory no matter what happens, and that'll be fun. We'll have entire podcast breaking that down as well. So this will be the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, it will. That is so true. All right. At 4.0 CRE8R5. Thanks for being a Scoop Watch. Remember, thanks for the 499. Scoop has gone to great lengths to explain scum is dumb. Then they go all the way to a hearing, and that's their defense. Can't pay people to record. Yeah, we've definitely gone to great lengths to, not just explain, but show you that they're dumb. I think we've done a pretty good job at that. And yes, full hearing. Listen, we've been through all of this. None of them make sense. We're all confounded by their idiocy. Justin Spiro just waxed eloquently about how, what are we doing here? It's just mind-numbing is the phrase I continue to use, Nevada, with these folk. And that's why I went from, oh, drip, drip is nice because it's fun, to hammer cometh the past 3 weeks straight because I'm done. I'm done with these clowns. Anything on this?
Yeah, no, it's we try to kind of break it down. B always talks about how we try to make this fact-based. We're all about fact. We're trying to get the smartest people here. And if there's a smart person on the Michigan side that wants to explain some of the stuff away, we are an open book. We will give them an open mic and we will listen to them. But again, don't come with nonsense. Come with facts. Come with stuff. Cite your sources and things like that. But we're always open to hear other sides. But it's crickets whenever we ask for it because there really is no defense.
Yep, there is none. And then with Justin, I meant to tell him this while he was here, but just if you follow him and if you post any of his stuff, they can't refute it, just like they can't refute us. And they just, oh, well, you lost credibility since you posted Spiro. Okay, well, refute his argument then. How about that? Instead of deflecting and running away. But anyway, thanks, Frenzo, 23 for the 199. Appreciate the support. And here's a comment as well, 499. I think the Matt Weiss thing is going to get them more into trouble. What do you guys think? Yeah, I mean, it's to me, yeah, this is football. Sure, we're upset because our game is being tarnished by cheaters. But, these are, thousands of people being affected and violated, with this hacking scandal. So, yeah, I mean, by definition, I would think so. So I would agree. Nevada, would you?
Well, yeah, first of all, it's going to be $1 billion. Not that we boil everything down to money, but it's going to be $1 billion settlement. It's going to be a permanent black eye on the institution. And yeah, that Matt Weiss thing could lead a lot of different directions. So yeah, that the NCAA, the feds, and a lot of people aren't done with Michigan. Just whoever's running that school's got a lot on their plate.
Yep, agreed. All right, couple more left here. We got Pinky in the house, 71. Thanks for the 999. Stallions was there for the first 7 games of 2023 before being fired. If those 7 are included in vacated wins, that natty is gone. No way they can hold on to it. I agree. I mean, we can debate back and forth if only the 7 will be vacated because technically he was fired, or should they all be vacated like they've done like they did with Tatgate. They took the whole season, even though the Tatgate stuff was done. We'll see, but either way, the same result. Any of those wins vacated that season, they are ineligible to be a recipient of a championship trophy. So yeah, I think that's pretty much the bottom line. You agree, Nevada?
Yeah, I think if any one of those games goes down, they lose the Big Ten title and they lose the Natty, and I agree. I think they'll lose all 7.
Yep. Yep. So there's that. And the good brother, Mark Bundy, thank you for the 199. And thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member. Always appreciate you, sir. Justin, you talk, we listen closely. This is very, very true. Like Nevada always says, we love smart people. We love high IQ people. Even if we don't agree with a person, we respect them if they're on that level. But we agree with Justin, and Justin agrees with us. Just overall in general with this whole situation, and he's a super smart dude, and it was definitely dope for him to jump on impromptu tonight and just make the show just even more great. So yeah, Nevada, I'm sure you agree with this comment as well.
Yeah, Justin's one of my favorite people. I love smart people, and we're so blessed that we have him in our sphere. And the fact that he was willing to jump on with us is such a huge compliment. So Justin, thanks again, buddy. We really appreciate it.
Yep, definitely, man. And like I said, after the hammer drops and everything is finally put out there, expect big shows like this again, more shows, more linking up with the Super Friends. We've only just begun, y'all. But yeah, nice long show, nice 2-hour boy tonight. 2-hour burger, Nevada. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, Devos, this is like I'm gonna have to drag him out of the chair there tomorrow. He's gonna like insert the IV into his arm. He's like, what did I sign up for? Yeah, but this is the worst job ever. Well, hey, you broke your cherry on the 2-hour show, so now it's officially over that. But hey, great stuff, man. Really appreciate it being. You probably got kids that are waiting to be picked up for basketball practice. Dad, where you been? Hey, I'm potting, kid.
I want my daddy.
I want my daddy.
Oh man, that's funny. No, but I texted the wife and said, "Hey, we're going a little longer. We got Spiro on." Because listen, that's the life of hashtag daddy life. I do got kids waiting on me soon as I hop off and wife and all other stuff. But hey, it's all good, man. This was dope. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I appreciate y'all. The chat was crazy per usual. Thank you for the super chats. And I can't wait to get back on it, man. Again, any day now, the hammer can drop. But also tomorrow is the first day of fall camp. So can't wait. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. And go Bucks. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.